We're on Dalchot Beisim now. The truth is, we stopped we learned on Shuvas Avatamas last. We stopped in the middle of a sugya because of the timing and because I wasn't sure about what exactly last sugya meant. But as a result, I think we should start from the Mishnah over again, from the beginning of Halacha Daled. That's the upshot of that introduction. Eved Shenishba, a slave was taken to captivity. Ubdo l'shem, and they was redeemed by other individuals. L'shem Eved, for the purpose of becoming an Eved again. Yishtabed, goes back into slavery. L'shem Menachem was redeemed for the purpose of freedom. Lo Yishtabed, doesn't go back into slavery. Regardless, it goes back into slavery again, no matter what. Eved Shaso Rabba Putiki Lachem, an Eved who was made designated collateral for others. V'shichoro, and he was redeemed. Shura Sadin, according to the strict letter of law, Eina Eved Chayav Klum, the Eved does not owe anything, right? His master released him. Even though the Eved was designated collateral to somebody else on his loan, nevertheless, that's not the Eved's problem. He was released. He just goes scot-free. However, eliminate tikkun olam, called kovinus rabo v'osos ben chorin, because in this case we compel the master who makes him free. Now it's not clear exactly what case we're compelling the master to make him free, because it's about a case obviously we already freed him. But rather what to stress here is the Kosef Shtar Adama, the Eved writes an IOU on his own release money. But since he was made collateral for a loan, so therefore we make him write an IOU to the individual to whom he was designated as collateral for his value. And of course, Gemara is going to ask why. What's it his problem that his first master released him? It's not his issue. It's not necessary to write such an IOU. You just redeem. He's just released, and that's it. Okay, then what is going to explain all these things? Rabbi Shem Chizkiah said, "B'dinu." Now, this is a very basic machlokes in Ravo and Rabbi Elo. First, Rabbi Abo. Ravo says in Chizkiah, "B'dina halacha should dictate shafilu shem eved, even if he was redeemed for the purpose of becoming a slave again, lo yishtabed, he should not go back into avdus. Why? Because once he's taken captive by goyim, his first master has given up hope and never given him back, Yeush, and therefore he should go free. Why did they say, however, that if he's redeemed for the purpose of slavery, that he must go back to being a slave? It should be min rabo, the yimsar atzmo, going back to the Gemara's text itself, l'shvuim. He shouldn't go back. We don't want avodim if they know that they're going to be able to free themselves by being taken captive, so everybody's going to run to be taken captive. So therefore, in order that should happen, we made a gzera that if he's redeemed for the purpose of captivity, from slavery, he goes back to slavery. Amr Zir said, Masnisa, Amr Kane. The Mishnah seems to indicate this. It says, Rabo Naisen has Damav Umashachro. If his master pays up, there's not our Mishnah rack, I'm sorry, it's a brisa. It says the master pays the money to release him, and to release him from captivity, and then releases him from slavery. So Lo Amar Lo Rabo. It says only his master can then release him from slavery. Ha'acher not anybody else. It seems quite clear that he goes back into slavery as a result of his having been redeemed from captivity, and therefore it's only his master who can then redeem him again. Rabbi B'Shem Rabbi Yasa said, "B'dina ya." He says the exact opposite. The halacha should strictly dictate, afilu shem ben chorin, even if the slave was redeemed from captivity for the purpose of becoming free, yishtabed, he should go back to slavery nonetheless. Because according to the Korban Eidah, we're talking about it. We're saying that captivity does not automatically generate Yerush. The original owner does not necessarily originally give up hope just because his Eved is taken to captivity. If that's the case, why they say where the Eved is redeemed for the purpose of of being freed, then he is freed. V'lomer lo yishtabed. There's an interesting reason. Shelo lo tzi lo luza b'nei chorin. In order that people should not say that avodim who are truly freed are also not freed. In other words, in this case, it made a gzera that this Eved who was taken to captivity and then redeemed, even though he's redeemed, even though he should go back to being a slave, he doesn't go back to being a slave. Why? Because the individual paid redemption money, redeemed for the purpose of his going free, and therefore if you don't actually free him, so other people are going to say, well, all Avodim who are freed really must not be truly free, and therefore they should all go back to slavery. So therefore we say that this Eved who was redeemed from captivity for the purpose of Cherus, even though technically speaking should not be considered free, nonetheless in order to protect everybody's reputation, he goes back into Abdus. Rabbi Yossi said, Im Kain, if that's so, then Ramshin Gamil does not work out. Don't worry, things will work out, we get to Amud Beis, but Ramshin Gamil does not work out. Ramshin Gamil mer benkach ishtabed. Ramshin Gamil says, no matter what, he goes back into Abdus. Shekshem Shisol Mitzulim Dos Ben Chorin Kachem Mitzulim Dos Avodim. Because we are not concerned that just because it goes back to Avdus, people are not going to redeem captivity. No, Jews redeem even slaves. Jews are charged to redeem both Bnei Chorin and Avodim. Now that doesn't work out with this previous statement, because we just said that if he's redeemed for the purpose of Cherus, he should go free when he gets out of captivity. Yet here it says that regardless, he goes back into Avdus. It says more, yes, true, but there's an imaginary Tanakama. This is from the Brisa. There's not a Shimon in our Mishnah. Oh, there's a Shimon in our Mishnah. Sorry, there's a Shimon in our Mishnah. There's the Tanakama to a Shimon, and I hate Tanakadmaya. It's Tanakama holds that way. Tanakama Savar Meva Mitzulim leave those Nechore Ve Mitzulim those Avodim that Jews do redeem. Jews do redeem, only redeem people who are free, or they're only commanded to redeem people who are free. They're not commanded to redeem Avodim. So therefore, the Tanakama is the one who says that if you redeem a slave for the purpose of making him free, he's got to be freed. You should go back and be into slavery? No, because since the Jews are only commanded to redeem free men, so therefore in order to promote the redemption of this slave, we make him free as a result. Now it's interesting because this Tanakam is going like Rabbi Elah, but not for the same reason as Rabbi Elah. Rabbi Elah himself says that the reason you're freed is because in order not to be motzi laz and other avodim who are free, that they're really not free. Tanakama says the reason we're going to be free the guy is that as an incentive to get somebody to pay to release him from captivity. Because Amisor releases slaves, but they don't they pay for the release of slaves for captivity, for the release of free men from captivity, but not for the release of slaves from captivity. So for two different reasons, they're both saying the same halachic outcome. Tanakama is saying that the reason why if he's redeemed from captivity for the purpose of freedom, he goes free is because we want to have some sort of incentive to make sure that somebody redeems him. And Rabbi Elah says it's in order not to be motzi laz on other freed slaves, that they are not really free men. But they both achieve the same purpose, that really, even if he should have remained an Eved, when redeemed for the purpose of freedom, he does go free. As opposed to Rabbi Avo, who said previously, fakert. He said the opposite, that even if redeemed for the purpose of becoming free, he should become a slave. The only reason why he doesn't, he said the opposite. That's Rabbi Elah. He said, Rabbi Avo had said before, even redeemed for the purpose of becoming a slave, he should go free. But the reason we don't say that is because then all Avodim would find the easy way out of slavery by going and giving themselves over captives. So very basic machlokas. One looks at the bottle half full, one looks at the bottle half empty. Rabbi Avo looks at it as really all Avodim who redeemed should remain, should be freed. because of Yeush, or avoiding captive should be free because of Yeush, but in order that Avodim shouldn't take advantage of this loophole, we make sure they remain Avodim. Rabbi Avo and Tanakama hold, Rabbi Ila and Tanakama hold that all Avodim taken captivity, even redeemed for the purpose of freedom, should remain slaves, but nevertheless we allow them to go free in order either to provide incentive for Am Yisrael to redeem them, or in order to make sure that other freed slaves are not besmirched by association. Okay?
Why should always go to the slave? Because master, every time, it doesn't take anything for him to just say he's free.
But he didn't say he's freed.
No, if the master wanted to free him...
Ask me the question in 10 lines. Just wait.
Quick question with Yerush again?
Giving up. Okay? And that's what I'm going to come to again in a couple of minutes. Rabbi Yaakov B'Shem Rabbi Shlogi said, that who said that regardless the guy comes back into slavery, regardless of the intent of the redemption from captivity. Rabbi Simon, it could be a third party. No, third party.
Third party.
Some good-hearted fellow, yeah.
From being a
captive, not from slavery.
Not slavery. So really,
it's good to be a Jewish slave.
So what does that got to do with his? He still should be a slave normally. If he's
that's what should come out. But see, no. But you're not factoring in Yeush. You're not factoring what that the owner might have given up hope of ever getting his slave back.
Well, they say at certain times, not normally all the cases.
Tanakama. I mean, not Tanakama. Rabbi Avo.
No, he doesn't know. You said he doesn't.
Well, you think we believe the owner to tell us when he was in shiur or not? Of course he wants the slave back. He's going to lie. You think he's honest?
Well, he wants the slave back. He's lost the money to.
Right. So we don't believe him. We're not going to ask him whether he's going to whether he's shiur or not.
He'll say he never gave up.
Right.
All the time.
So that's why we don't believe. That's why we won't necessarily believe it. So says Gemara, Amar. Rabbi Shimon Levi Omar, he said that Yossi ben Shol b'Shem Rebbe said, "Hamisyayish ba'avdo." By the way, most of this is not in the Bavli. Hamisyayish ba'avdo ein rashai l'shavdo. Somebody who gives up hope on his eved is not allowed anymore to keep him, to make him work. The tzarich, this is in the Bavli name of Shmuel, I think. The tzarich lichtov lo get shiur, but he has to get a bill of release. He has to still get. He's called him ukab get shiur. The slave cannot be worked, but it has to be released. Why?
You can make it if they could make it easier for some to get captured. So you're back with that again. You can make it as
right. So that would not be true if a guy was. You're right. So that's what our mission says. If they take captivity, Yerush doesn't work. It had to be that he got lost or something like that.
Someone got lost and he became a captive. Is that what you mean?
No, now he became a captive. That's what Rabbi Avo said. If he became a captive, we're not going to allow Yerush to kick in. But let's say he got lost or fled.
If he got lost,
the Underground Railroad.
Yeah, then the owner didn't give up on that.
No, of course he gave up on that.
On lost one he gives up. But on the captured one he doesn't give up.
No, he gives up too. But the special gzeira is that even though he gave up, he still gets him back.
He still gets him back. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. You ran out of time.
Yeah, I'm out.
So, doesn't talk about Yerushalmi Gittin.
Not here, no. So, now, the Tzarech to get shiur still needs to get shiur. Why does he get shiur? In order to allow him to marry Yisrael. Because we're talking about Eved Kanani here, and Eved Kanani is not allowed to marry a regular Jewish woman. So he still needs to get shiur in order to be allowed to marry a regular Jewish woman. So it says the Gemara, Sham Rabbi Yochanan v'Amar Yovel Limdein. Rabbi Yochanan said Yovel Limdein Rabbi Shimon Levi. Shimon Levi was actually his Talmud, I think, or certainly younger. He taught as well. Klum Lamdu get shiur. Where do we learn out the release of slaves? Lami Isha is not from a woman. My Isha, just like a woman. Aina Yitzim Mishum Yeush. Her husband gave up on her long ago. But she doesn't give up.
You say the same thing.
Right, it's not good enough, right? She still needs to get.
Who's the slave here?
My Isha Yitzim Mishum Yeush. Shetzichem and her get, she needs to get. Afevet Eina Yotzi Mishum Yerush, there is no Yerush by a slave, the Tzarech get shiur, you still have to give a get shiur. Shim Rabba B'Shem Rabbi Yochanan said, Evet Sheborach Min HaShavuyim Eitzel Rabo, it's the same idea, a slave who ran from his captors to his master, and Rabbola Shai L'Shabdo, his master is not allowed to give him to make him work. This is going according to the assumption that he gave up hope on him. However, Tzarech Lichtov Lo Get Shiur. He still has to write him a get shiur. Rav B'Shem Yochanan said, and it seems to contradict this, Omar said, somebody declares his Eved Hefker. And Rosh Hashanah is no longer allowed to make him work. But here it says, Ve'eno, and here the Korban changes Rashai to Tzarich. Ve'eno Tzarich Lo Get Shiur. He says, all of a sudden, you don't have to write a bill of release. Why not? Everybody says he's got to. And he says you don't have to, even though you're mafkir him, you would still have to write him a bill of release. So therefore he rejects Rav's tradition name Rabbi Yochanan that you don't need a bill of release. You do need a bill of release. Shema, but maybe what you meant to say is Einu Maklo Milocho Pesach. If this Eved is an Orel, normally if you have an Eved who's uncircumcised in your household, you may not eat the Korban Pesach. But this Eved who's an Orel, since you already mafkir him, so then, the fact that he's an Orel doesn't prevent you from eating Korban Pesach. Why? Because you're not his owner anymore, and the Choshen Mishpat says. So he needs to have the get now for what purpose? For Eben Ezer, in order that he should be able to marry a Jew. But as far as your ownership is gone, it's Choshen Mishpat wise, it has been severed and terminated, and therefore you can eat Korban Pesach even if this Eved does not have a bris milah. Okay? So that's the Shemin Makbel Milocha Pesach Tani, like it says, B'kol Evet each Miknas Kesef, any slave of an individual was acquired by money, meaning you have a monetary acquisition of it, Umalto, so you can bris milah. B'shosh Ovid es Rabo Ma'akbel Locha B'Pesach, when he's serving his master, that is a Choshen Mishpat relationship between the two of them, Umakbel Locha Pesach, that Evet who's not circumcised impedes upon him for eating Pesach. B'shosh Eno Ovid es Rabo, when he's not serving his master, Eno Makbel Locha Pesach can impede upon him from eating Pesach. But it was a very feministic Gemara. I know very, but it's somewhat of a feministic Gemara because it comes out that a woman, it's not. I'll explain. A woman is not owned by her husband because a woman is like an eved after hefker, before get. And it says here that an eved at that point is not owned by his master. Choshen Mishpat wise, he's out. And the fact of the lack of his bris milah doesn't impede upon him from eating the Korban Pesach. It's just that for matters which concern procreation, which concern puravu and getting married, for that the get shiur is necessary. So to a woman is permanently in that state of no Choshen Mishpat ownership, but Even Ezer, she needs a get in order to be able to remarry. Yes. So a woman is not owned by her husband.
Yes, and that's why giving up doesn't mean anything with a woman.
Right, right. Giving up doesn't mean anything because you don't own it. That's right.
The Eved can eat without he can eat from the Kodesh, from the
Korban.
From the Korban, he didn't have a bris milah.
No. He for sure can't eat if he didn't have bris milah. But if you own an uncircumcised slave, you can't eat the Korban Pesach.
The owner can't eat.
Yeah.
The owner can't eat.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the difference with he
right.
can't eat, of course, but the owner also.
Right.
That's what you mean.
Okay. So it says Gemara. See me now. This is interesting Gemara. It's not part of it.
What about that halacha about Korban Pesach? Is that talking about an Eved or
no, Eved Kanani. Eved Ivri you don't own.
So why can't I understand that halacha? The Eved Kanani is just like a little lady.
Yeah, but he has to have bris milah. If a lady would have the capacity to have bris milah, she'd have to have bris milah too. Am Yisrael is called B'nai Bris, even if they're women. So it's only that there's no physical thing to circumcise. Okay, Simesh Te'en of Kachas. Interesting question. You blinded both of your slaves' eyes at once. Now, normally, if you blind your slave's eye, he goes free. So if you blinded both eyes at once, or he pills Shnei Shein of Kachas, or both, you took out 2 teeth, and for 1 tooth he goes out free, but you did both at one time. He goes free, and you don't have to pay him. Yotze, but Zuach Arzu, if you did one after the other, Yotze Cheres B'Rishon, and he goes free on the first one. For Noitzl Dom B'Shneim, for the second one, you got to pay him. So if you did both at Bavas Achas, so there you don't have to pay. But if you did one after the other for the second one, then you pay.
You did 2 at a time, you have to pay, but the man is useless for so when you made him useless, you have...
That's so what, but he's your Eved.
He's your Eved, I know, but...
Well, he's not yet free, so you don't owe him anything.
Yeah.
It's a special halacha. Rabbi Lushem Yishlokish said an interesting thing, though. This is very fascinating. He says, Kamadhar eno tzarich lichtov lo get shiur. That's true according to the opinion that you don't have to write a get shiur, so then he's free after the first eye, and you pay him for the second eye. But according to the opinion, you still owe him, you still have to have a bill of release. You're going to pay him. He's not yet fully free. So this really flies in the face of what we've been learning till now. He's in a mukhav get shiur, you still have a choshen min relationship with him, right? This is Reish Lakish, not Rabbi Yochanan, right? Reish Lakish is saying that you still have a choshen mishra relationship, and therefore even for the second eye, as long as you haven't released him, you're still potter. You don't have to pay the Eved. It's a big chiddush, right?
Why is it so big?
It's not a big chiddush. Once you learn Rabbi Yochanan, it argues Rabbi Yochanan.
It seems that the injury to the first eye automatically causes his release, so you don't need to get shiur.
Not according to Reish Lakish.
Yeah, but
that's Reish Lakish's whole point.
No, you can't say that because the Torah says that he's released, so you can't say that. You can't say that because the first...
Reish Lakish does say that.
Well, it just doesn't make sense.
It sure makes sense.
He
says there's still choshen mishpat ownership. Once you take out the eye, you have a mitzvah to release him.
You have to release him.
You have to, but you didn't yet.
You didn't give him the release paper.
Yes. The truth is, now that I think about it, it's not necessarily Rabbi Yochanan. Because Rabbi Yochanan said that it's as if he's free, it's only a case where you personally were misyoyish from him. But where you knocked out his eye or his tooth, you weren't misyoyish from him. The Torah says, now release him. Yeah. So it's a mitzvah upon you to release him. It's even that when you yourself were miyayish or hefker, in that case, you yourself were makna him already by your yayish or hefker to himself. But here the Torah says, now we're compelling you to release him. Ray Yochanan can read this halacha as well, right, Rameir? Sounds right. Yeah, so it's not a necessarily machlokas. There's a difference between shein vayim, which are compel you to release, and yesh hefker, where you yourself have already begun the process. Okay. What? Mitzvah to say release. It's a good way of putting it. Yes, it's a mitzvah to say that we can claim for now mitzvahs, but it's not yet. It didn't yet happen. Now the thing is here that the catch is that I'm not sure that it fits necessarily with this next part of the story, because here it says, that's true if he goes out by a tooth or an eye. I know if he went out by an improper get shiur. It's not a proper one. You wrote a get shiur on a yarmulke, this is a kippah sruga, and you, so not kidding, that's what it says here. It's a kippah sruga. A kippah sruga, only this is a very interesting play on kippah sruga. I know exactly if we consider this romantic. It wasn't his girlfriend knitting it for him, but it was his master knitting him a get shiur into the kippah sruga. So that was, there might be a lot of money to be made in this field. So Minayin Ayotzi the kippah, so he goes out with this knitted yarmulke, ubehar hanik, and tianus. These are all types of decoration where a person puts decorative things, or a person puts into these garments. Get cherus or the cherus shamalachim. How do we know in all these cases that now? According to the Pnei Moshe works in and of itself. According to Korban Eda, you have to give a get shiur after these things. It's a big machlokas actually. Korban Eda says that these things, for some reason, themselves don't work. According to Pnei Moshe, they do work. So
what's that? What doesn't work? He said
the kippah sruga with the get shiur.
That way because
it's not a document. So it expresses the master's will, right? And therefore it's like yeush.
Because it's not signed by witnesses or something like that.
No, it's not a document. You pay paper on Korban.
Well, he's writing.
You're right. The Pnei Moshe says it's taka. There's two different shards in the Gemara.
Writing on the Yom Kippur.
It's not writing. Korban is
What's the reason why it has to be that?
because it has to be like a get.
So what's wrong with a Yom
Can
Kippur?
I get the?
We never saw that a get could be something like this. It has to be pen on paper or parchment.
So the Yom Kippur is.
Well, it could be written on a cloth. It's got to be written, not woven.
So it's written on the Yom Kippur. So what's wrong with
It's
that?
not written. It's woven.
It's woven on the Yom Kippur.
It's like all document.
Oh.
So that's the Korban Ada learns. Pnei Moshe learns the taka works. Look, I can't argue with you. So it's a big machlokas here whether it's Korban Ada. This is like Yerush, and they need to get shiur afterwards. Pnei Moshe, this works in and of itself. I think the Korban Ada is right though. Anyway, so no matter how the process begins, afterwards we continue with it. Now here's a very cool question, and this is not in the Bavli either. But the Kippur case I don't think is the Bavli either. But this case is certainly not in the Bavli. But of mine. What if it's an amazing question? What if he has kids? He conceives kids when he's in this intermediate state between Yerush and Mu'ukav Get Shiur. Now the Chasam Sofer is a very practical question on this. He says, who's he having kids with?
His wife.
What wife?
The wife, the master gave him a wife.
No, he's an Evet Kanani.
He's African, so the wife.
He doesn't have a wife. Evet Kanani have no wives.
Did it say that the master can?
That's an Evet Ivri.
That's never. Oh, the master can't touch you, do anything. With.
No, he sure he can, but there's no wives. There's no issues. He has no. He can't contract marriage of any
What
sort.
David Knani has a wife going into when he was born? David Knani.
Evet Kanani can have relations with anybody, with shiksas, with anybody he wants. Well, not with Jews. I mean, the Jews are not allowed to have relations with him. You have relations with shiksas or with Shvachos Kananios.
He came in with Goyish.
That's all. That's the question is now. Look, the Gemara is obviously trying to isolate an issue. How the Chasam Sofer is bothered by how do we isolate the issue, right? Because we want to talk about his status, how his status impacts on his kids, divorced from the issue of his wife or his concubine or his mistress's status. So the most positive way of learning it is that there's a similar woman in a similar situation, and they cohabit together. Chasam Sofer gives all sorts of other alternatives, but that's the most simple way of understanding it. There's a woman in a similar situation. So he lives with a woman who's in a similar situation to himself. They both were after Yerush before Get Shiur. So what's the status of their kids? The Gemara says very interesting dichotomy, where it says Hayetze b'shein v'ayin, and this really fits into what we said in Reish Lakish a few minutes ago. Hayetze b'shein v'ayin, if he had an eye or tooth knocked out, bana v'avodim. So kids he conceives between the time that his eye or tooth is knocked out and the time it's released, they're avodim. Why? Because he's an Evet. There's a mitzvah to release him, but he's an Evet. So his kids are avodim. Mishum Yerush. But if he now is in the state of after Yerush, before he gets Shiur, Bara B'nei Chorin, his kids are free. It's an amazing concept. Because really, now they probably, all the kids all need a Get Shiur too. Don't get us wrong. But they are free men in terms of there's no Choshen Mishpat onus upon them. Why? Because their parent was already born into the semi-free status. Okay? So it's interesting. We never found in the Bavli such a thing. But in the Yerushalmi there's a status between Yerush and Get Shiur, which is Choshen Mishpat freedom, even though Even Ezer there's an issue. Okay? I'm Rabbi Yossi Beribur. It doesn't say. I would assume so, but Labda, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. By the way, Get Shiur is not written the same way. A get is pure. Get can be purely a legal document. It doesn't have to say Reyat or Mutter or anything like that. Just be a document stating that he is now released.
If the Evet Kanani has a child with a lady, but she's not an Evet, so you mean the child is or is not an Evet?
The child?
Yeah.
The child depends who the woman is. That's all Chasam Sofer's issue.
She's a Kanani, but not an Evet Kanani. She's a Kanani too.
No, then the kid is an Evet Kanani. The kid then belongs to the master.
The kid, even though the one that the lady is not.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
But still, okay, that's what it is.
Okay. No, I'm not being Rabun's sheet is very interesting. He sort of tries to split it out. He says, Lo mistabra, it makes no sense what he said. Chilufin, on the contrary, let's say the opposite. Hayete b'shein v'ayin. If he's had an eye or tooth knocked out, ho v'shichrarto Torah, a Torah, since the Torah released him, so then Bana b'nei Chorin, his kids are free. The kids conceived between the tooth and the eye being knocked out and the get shiur, he wants to say are free kids, because his release is compelled by the Torah itself. But if the evidence is going out because his master was misyoish, since the Torah didn't release him. Now, I'm with Yerushalmi Gittin wants to say his release is the Rabbanan, but I don't like that. It means since it's a personal release, contingent on the master, so therefore Bana the kids are avodim until they get shiur.
Yeah, so
he wants to say the exact opposite. No. So if the release is the raisa because of shein v'ayin, so then kids can see between the shein v'ayin and the get are free. But if the release is generated not by the Torah, but by you as an individual, by your yeush, so kids can see between the yeush and the get shiur are enslaved. Fascinating machlokas.
It's unusual.
The polar machlokas, okay? None of which is in the Bavli. I like the first approach better. It's more lomdish, that the Yeush is released both Shevai, which is a compelling a mitzvah. But Rabbi Yossi Rabun obviously was not in the same camp as I am on this issue. Okay.
The latter opinion. What are you going to say that Yossi Shevai and Shekras Torah went up in Enclosure? It's only because Bezdin Hefker Bezdin, Hefker Bezdin Hefker, right? Why? I'm trying to say that the second opinion, I really don't understand it.
Oh, you don't understand it?
No.
Yeah.
It's what's going to be the logic for saying Shein V'ayin that you're free? It says Shechras Torah. The Torah doesn't make you free. It commands you to be free. So the only thing you can then say is Hefker Bezdin Hefker, because the Torah says commands you to be free. No,
not necessarily. You could say some variation of Kol Ma'adam Rachmana Lo Savid Yavi Lo Mahani. It's not the same thing. But if Torah said, right, the Torah said he's released. Shema is automatic release, even though it's by your. I don't. The first chapter obviously sits better with our lomdus, but all right. Now, we're not finished with this issue, going on the variation of the theme. Ger Shemes, a ger died. He had no heirs. Ubiz Bezu Yisrael Nechasov, the Jews came and they fought over and the division of his property, right? Because everything he owns is now
free.
Hefker, right? Vayusham Avadim, and among his property were slaves. Ben Gdolim Ben Ktanim B'Yotzel L'Cheres. So whether they're adults or children, they go free. Why? Because when they become Hefker, they then are Zochin themselves, and they go free. If they're adults, they go free. If they're minors, they don't go free. Why do they go free? Shein Yotzim says Rabban, because their master died. Me'at, if that's the case, ask Gemara, Filu, even, it should be, Korbanei changes Ketanim, even the children should go become free when their master dies. Rabbi Borava said, the adult slaves, since they have das, these goes to Satzman to acquire themselves. Yotzuches, they go free, because when they become hefker upon their master's death, they acquire themselves. Kitani, das, these goes to Satzman, the children, since they have no das to acquire themselves, lo yotzuches, they don't go free. Rabbi Shimon Levi Levi says, who draws the distinction between the Gedolim and Ketanim. Right? Says the Gemara Mechapashi Tasser Rabbi Shua. We have a contradiction. Rabbi Yeshua. Tamar Amar Rabbi Simon Rabbi Shimon Levi. The Rabbi Simon said name Rabbi Shimon Levi. Rabbi Yossi ben Shol and name Rabbi Yossi ben Shol. B'Shem and Rabbi Yossi ben Shol said B'Shem Rabbi name say Rabbi Hamis Yayish Me'afto. Some he loses hope of getting his slave back. And a Rashai L'Shabed Bo. He can no longer subjugate him. Now here's a little bit missing, and we have to do a little bit of cut and paste here. And it should say here, according to Kvitzarech Lichtov Lo Get Shiur, but he still requires a Get Shiur. Now, also, you have to cut and paste 2 lines hence, it says, and 3 lines hence down, it says, Shemanu Dam Rabbi Yochanan Yofalim Den Rabbi Shimon Levi. See that? We heard Rabbi Yochanan said that Rabbi Shimon Levi said good. That actually should be up here, because that's what it said on Chav Beis and Beis. Rabbi Yochanan, like Rabbi Shimon Levi's svara, that after Yeush, There's no Chesed Mishpat ownership, but you still need to get shiur. Now that's one thing we said named Rabbi Shimon Levi. But here the question is that here Rabbi Shua ben Levi, or it says here Rabbi Yeshua, but Rabbi Shua ben Levi seems to hold the opposite. Because over here, Rabbi Shua ben Levi says, he says like Abba Shol. Does he actually appear here? Yeah, he says look like Abba Shol. Because here it says look like Abba Shol, which means that the Ketanim are not Zoichin themselves, right? Well, the Ketanim don't go free. Why don't they go free? What about Yeush? Here, there's no greater Yeush than death. Right? So why didn't they go free? So it's a contradiction. So it says the Gemara, Amrin, they responded. That which Rabbi Shua said is, here it says L'Shabed, but the Mashbiach changed it, and I want to change it a little bit different than the Mashbiach, that Bim Shabdo. It says, it depends if there's a master or not. It's a pretty cool, pretty neat distinction. It's, if there's a master, as opposed to if there is no master. Meaning if the master died. Where there's a master, the low yav. I'm sorry. No, I got the question wrong. I'm sorry. The question is the opposite. Sorry. The question is that over not why don't the Ketanim go free, but fakir? Why don't the Gedolim require a get shiur?
What's that?
Why don't the Gedolim require a get shiur? It was where the contradiction is that in the case of after Yeush, you need to get shiur. He still needs to get shiur. But here, by the ger who died, there is no get shiur necessary. Why not? Why in the one case get shiur necessary, and in the other case get shiur is not necessary? So then, that the Gemara answers, it depends if there's a master or is no master. If there's a master, a get shiur is necessary. But if there is no master, a get shiur is not necessary. And what's the difference? So he says,
there's no master, how could you be a slave? So you wouldn't even get shiur anyway. There's no master.
That's not true. Because an Eved could become, after his master's death, he could become like a puzzle call forever. There is such a concept. Puzzle call.
What is that?
Somebody who's never allowed to marry a Jew. He could remain in total status of Eved. He's like a mamzer. They find things like that throughout Shas. He's like a mamzer. There's a concept called Eved. Avdei Shlomo is the concept in the Gemara of the Avodim of Shlomo who are never released, who remain forever and ever Avodim. Now we no longer know who their masters are, but they remain Avodim because they were never released. So it's not necessarily true, but that the Gemara does say that. That would be the Ami. The Gemara does say what you're saying, though. Gemara says here, Rishua said, you need to get shirchus b'shabdo where there is a master. The lo yoav, if he doesn't give a shirch or he hasn't given one, maybe in such cases, so he's still considered to be technically an Evan. However, over here, the Torah go get shiur, and never say right to get shiur. For however, who amara chain, here he says that you don't need to require get shiur, skipping the part which we cut and paste before, because that it's maybe a little like Abba Shol, that in case where there is no master, the Eved is Zocha in himself, and then he goes free without a get shiur. So maybe when there's a master, that's the halacha. They still consider being Meshubah until there is a get shiur. But there is no master, it's like a woman, right? In fact, I'm going to say that later on, I think explicitly. Or I saw maybe somebody who says it explicitly, that it's like a woman, just like a woman, she goes out in two ways, either get or misa sabal. So to here, this Eved goes see if there's still a live master. Halacha, he's got to get a get. Just like if there's no master anymore, so then Misa Sabal suffices. Okay? Now it's dafka by a ger. By Avdei Shlomo it didn't work because the ger has no heirs. And that's why when the ger dies, so the guy can be Zeichan himself. But if it's an Eved of a regular Yisrael, even if he dies, the Avdus goes on to the next heir. So therefore, the fact that his master dies will do him no good. Okay? You can't inherit a wife unless you're a Yavam, but you can't inherit an Eved. Yes.
In case of a ger, it could be it could be, if you're saying about a lady, it could be the same thing even if it wasn't only a problem of Evan Ezra and not Joseph.
I understand what you're asking.
He only needed get the children. So there's the case where he knocks out the tooth. Where the case where he needs to get.
He needs to get no matter what. Both have to use.
It's only a problem for evidence.
The cake. Yeah. Yeah.
So in that case, he could also be judged for himself if the Evan does, if the Ger does.
Right. That's what we're saying.
So we're saying even in the case of that.
Mm-hmm. That's correct. As long as there's a master around, he still needs to get. Okay? Says Gemara, Amsid Rabba Bar Zutra Arkus. Rabba Bar Zutra's slave, and she was a woman, fled. Yisrael and he was Misyash. They gave her both. Asa Shor Rabbi China Rabbi Shur ben Levi. So they came after Rabbi China Rabbi Shur ben Levi. Amar and he says Amalei, he says it's proper there. In Kosafta, Yeo Safta of it. So if you what?
Does he have to write her against? What is
he doesn't have to, but he should. It's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Why is it the right thing to do?
Because it's how ethically. Once she got the Lamaisa, she's free. So even though she
It's her problem. She ran away.
no, it's your problem.
I can marry somebody else.
No, I'm not the master. The Vasisa Yoshavatov, the right thing to do now is to write again. So say, nobody can compel you to write against you. If you want out of spite, leave her in that status of non-entity for the rest of her life. You can do so, but that's not the right thing to do. The right thing to do is write against you. Okay? Rabbi Chirashim Rishmo said. Rabbi Yossi said, "Eved shenosa bas chayrin lifnei Rabo." The Eved who married a free woman in front of his master, Yotzei Cheres. If the master didn't make a mechah, so it's a tacit release, because obviously he did. He must otherwise should have made a mechah.
Well, wait. He married a free woman, and
his master didn't say boo.
The object.
Right.
What you mean? The woman is a Kanani or what?
No, a free woman.
Oh, she married a free woman.
He.
A guy, but it's a guy. He married a free.
No, a free Israelis.
So wait, he married a free Israel.
Come on, guys. The Eved Kanani married a free Jewish woman.
Okay. Yeah.
So and the master was there. He was the best man. He was the ring bearer.
Yeah, okay.
He didn't protest. That's an indication that he's willing to release him. He still needs to get shiur, but in itself, that's like Yeush. Okay? That's what we're saying. Rabbi Yochanan said, yesterday I learned, I was sitting and learning, if somebody wrote for his Eved, a star to be Mekadosh a woman, or wrote a star for his Amma to be Mekudeshes. Rabbi Omer Zacha. Rabbi said that's in and of itself like a bill of release. Chomri Lo Zacha. Chomri said it's not like a bill of release. Ahain, this which says that if he was present at the wedding, it is like a bill of release. Ahain Tana Kadmaya. This Tana Kama. Savak Rabbi obviously holds like Rabbi Zacha that being at the wedding is in and of itself like a bill of release. Okay, it says Gemara, Mi Meshachre. This is going back to the Mishnah. You have an Eved, listen, you have an Eved who's taken into captivity. He's redeemed by a third party. And so now we compel a release. According to Tanakama. We compel a release. Who releases? It's a fascinating Gemara. Rav Amar ben Rabba Rishon ben Rabba Sheni. It makes no difference. Either one can release him. The original master, not the one who redeemed him, is the one who releases him. Hey, see, Rabbi Chagai, Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Chagai asked for Rabbi Yossi. Masisa Pliga Rav. Our mission seems to argue Rav. Not our mission, a different mission. And this is a Gavaldic classic Yerushalmi, guys. This is classic. Listen to this connection. How this Brisa which argues on Rav. It says Yisrael Shehilva is Goy al Chemto. A Jew loaned money to a guy on his chametz. He made the chametz collateral for the guy. So that's like mechiras chametz. Achar Pesach muter ba'anoah. After Pesach, it's the chametz is permitted on no. The Jew can derive benefit from it. Why? Because I made a mistake. Sorry. The Yisrael loaned money to the goy, and the goy made it collateral for the Jew. Sorry, apologize.
The Yisrael?
The Yisrael loaned money to a goy, and the goy gave chametz as collateral, but over Pesach. So the collateral does not belong to the Jew. So that's why after Pesach, the Jew can collect the chametz and use it. It's not chametz shavul over Pesach.
Belongs to the goy or
it's goy, yeah. You loan money to Mr. Natural Ovens of Manitowok. Yeah. And he put on his collateral his natural ovens rolls to you, right? Over Pesach. You could still eat the rolls after Pesach. Because it wasn't chametz shavul Pesach, because although his collateral wasn't owned by you.
Even if it was in your possession.
Yeah, it was in your possession. It's still only collateral, designated collateral. So, it says the Yerushalmi, "In tamer b'shus Yisrael, v'yeoser." Right? If you're going to say it belongs to the Yisrael, it would be forbidden, right? Ma avid lei Rav. What's Rav going to do with this? What's the question? Rav said that in our Mishnah, either master can release the slave, either master number 1 or master number 2. That means what we're talking about here. Eved was taken into captivity by the goy, right?
Yeah.
And the goy then was released to the second master.
Because the second master redeemed.
Second master redeemed him. That must mean that when the goy has it, that means when the goy gives it to the second Yisrael, it becomes it could become already the second Yisrael's, right? And the goy holding it for the second Yisrael and then releasing the second Yisrael makes it the second Yisrael's. So let's say the same thing by the chametz. That the goy holding it for the Yisrael and then releasing it for the Yisrael, it becomes the Yisrael's. It becomes the Yisrael's. So then it should be chametz shavul over Pesach. I think I got that right. 1 second.
But the collateral isn't really the Yisrael's. He's just holding it until the loan is repaid. The Eved still belongs to the first master, first Yisrael.
That's not according to Rav. That's Rav's point. Rav says, Ben Rabbo Rishon, Ben Rabbo Achron. Ben Rabbo Sheni can release him. How could that be? How can the Rav Sheni release him? It must be that the goy's designation of this Eved for the second Yisrael, at one point, when the second Yisrael paid off the goy, right? He had paid off the captor. So at that point, the captor now is holding on to the Eved for the second Yisrael. And that's why the second Yisrael can actually be considered to be the owner to release it. So that must mean that the goy, by directing this Eved, which he's holding on to, away from the first master and towards the second master, actually gives ownership away from the first master to the second master. So if that's the case, if a goy is holding on to your chametz for you, he should, because it's designated collateral, it should be considered to be your chametz. And it should be usher after Pesach. Just like the goy holding on to the Eved. Right? He's designated for the second Yisrael, and that works. So to the goy holding on to the chametz designated for the Yisrael, it should work. And that should be considered like you own it. It's an amazing comparison Yerushalmi is making. It's mind-boggling. So that's what Yerushalmi is saying. Just like over there, by us, the Eved is designated by the goy to the second Yisrael. That gives the second Yisrael ownership to the point that he can be the one to release the slave. So to over there, when the goy is designating the chametz to the Yisrael should be considered to be the owner, there should be chametz shavul over Pesach. Amazing comparison, right? I mean, obviously any one of us would not make this comparison, but the Yerushalmi does. And the Yerushalmi gives an answer. Says the Yerushalmi, it's a valid comparison, but what's the difference? So it says the Gemara, Ma'avid le Rav. Rav Yehuda, what does Rav do with this comparison? Rav Yehuda, kalu b'shichur. Amazing statement. He says, by shichur, we're much more lenient. And this is an amazing concept. It's really a metaphysical concept. In other words, even though the second master doesn't really own him, since he has a grip on him. What's the grip? Because he paid the money for him. His shiur, shiur is such a powerful tool that even though it's not true ownership, it's just like an affiliation, an affinity. That's enough to start the process. Once shiur starts, then, even if it's a very small foothold, even a tenuous, questionable foothold, boom! The shiur becomes complete. It's like we say by kachin, pashta kedusha bekula, right? If you're mekadosh an aver of an animal, the entire animal might become kaddish. So too, if you give an Eved the status of a full Jew, which is what shiur really does, that even to a small, on a small beachhead, that immediately expands the entire way. And that's what Rabbi so really the second guy doesn't really own it. And that's why in terms of Chomet Shavah Pesach, it's not Chomet Shavah Pesach. But he has an affiliation with it. And that affiliation is enough of a beachhold for shiur to begin. And when shiur begins, it expands. Okay? So it's a very, very fascinating concept, but really has to demonstrate how powerful shiur is. That if you can give somebody a whiff of Judaism, you can immediately become a full Jew. That's what it's happening.
Anything else to make it widen the hole?
So anything else widen the hole? No. That's in of itself. Kal b'shur kadata. They always said, look at this. Here's an interesting a parallel. The tani osa avdo apotike. If somebody makes his eved designated collateral to somebody else, machro, you can't sell him. Ain't a machro because it's designated collateral. Shiur b'shur. But if the first master releases him, he is released. Why is that? Because shiur is a much more powerful tool, right? So how does Rabbi Yochanan argue? Rabbi Yochanan says, no, only the first master released, not the second one. So he says, Rav Shimon Omer, Rav Shimon Omer says, proof is from here. It says, Rav Shimon Omer, Eino Kaisev Ela Meshacher. The only person who can write the document to release a slave, this is a quote from our Mishnah, is the person who releases. Right? The person who releases means there's only one, sounds like only one person can release. Who's the person who releases? Must be the first master, because he has the true ownership. Okay, so it says more now. Ilam Meshabit Sadel Chavero. This is a question, Rabbi Yochanan. If somebody put a field under lien to his friend, and then he went and sold it, Shema ein Baal Chov Bavatar, doesn't the Baal Chov come and grab it back? So here, the second master has rights. Why can the second master come and demand the Eved, right? The one who paid for him. Rabbi Avo, Rabbi said, Pasach and Rabbi Yochanan Pesach. Rabbi Yochanan opened for us an opening from Pesach Rabbi Meir B'dah, for that which Rabbi Meir opened up, but which is Lo Matzinu Eved Mishtachar V'Chozim Mishabed. That's true normally. That if you sold the field which was under lien, so then lien holder comes and takes it. But that's not true by shiur, by releasing a slave. Once you release the slave goes free. Okay? No matter what. Says because it can't go back into subjugation. So that's the case. Me'ato lo yichtov lo shtar al damav. So why does the Eved have to write an IOU to the second master? If the first master released him fair and square, so let him go. Thomas knows that the second master say, I don't know you a thing. You go to my master, but I don't know you anything. Says Maram Rabbi says it's an eitzah tova for the Eved. Mutav, it's better for the Eved that sheyomer lo tenim masayim zu sheyesh li biyadcha v'lo sheyomer lo avdiata. Better that you should acquiesce and give the 200 zuz which the second master is claiming, and not have the second master come around saying, this guy is my Eved, this guy is my Eved, because that looks bad. So then he won't get a shidduch that way. So therefore we say better that you should pay.
Who pay what?
The Eved pays for his own.
He hasn't got any money, the Eved.
Well, he'll make it.
Eventually.
He writes an IOU. Eventually he'll make the money. Rabbanan Kisar, I'm Hashem Rabbi Bisa. Rabbanan Kisar is the name Rabbi Bisa. Aser Shin Gamliel Kramer. Shin Gamliel says the first master reimburses the second master. Why does he have to reimburse the second master? Kamara, it's like Ramer. What Ramer? Kamara Ramer, Karnasid for Ramer. The Ritbaz says, when it says here, Ramer finds a person for his words, what it means is that Ramer is done Dina de Garmi. Rameir says when you cause a person a loss directly, you have to pay for it. And here to the master caused a direct loss for the second master by releasing the slave.
No, you gave up on him, did you say, or didn't give? The first master gave up on him anyway, you say, right?
Yeah, but he still gets to release him because a little bit of a shiur works, right? Because because he still has mukav get shiur from the first one, and the second one's the one who paid for it. So that's called don dina de garmi. Right, direct cause. The classic case with that, which we had recently in the other daf yomi, is if I have a shtar chov on somebody, right, and I sell you my shtar chov, and then I moichel that shtar chov which I sold you, so my mechila works. But according to Meir's don dina garmi, I have to reimburse you because I caused you the loss that you invested in the shtar, which I was then moichel. So too the same thing. Here, Shagamil Konis B'dvan Shagamil says the first master who released has to reimburse the second master who paid for the heaven. The tiny we learn. Now, this is really not a non sequitur, this raya here, but it's just a raya that Meir it goes very far in finding, and this is a shtickle of raya to the Rishonim. It's not a shtickle, it's a big raya. Those Rishonim will say that don dina garmi is the knas. So many Rishonim argue that Ramban has a whole kuntrus dina de garmi, what exactly the base of dina de garmi is. So here it sounds like it's a knas, and because we bring a raya from the following knas which Meir makes, Meir holds very much of knossos. Meir said, "Shtar sheish bo ribis, konsin also ve'eno gova loas akeren v'loas ribis divrei Rabbi Meir." If you loan money on interest, not only do they make you lose the interest, but they also make you lose the principal. You only collect the principal. You only lose don't lose the principal. You only lose the ribis. So here we see that the Gemara really makes, according to Ridbaz's interpretation, a connection between din and the garmi and finding the fellow who did a misdeed. It's a similar concept. Okay, I have Rachmanis on you guys, and on myself a little bit as well. So we'll stop here for this evening.